years now, and I'm just like, girl, you gotta do this show. So I called her, and I asked her if she would do it, and of course, I threatened her a little bit, and she said yeah. But I want y'all to welcome Niyha up, because she's gonna do her thing. We had a little pre-interview too, so we're gonna talk about a few, well, we'll talk. But I want y'all to put your hands together for the wonderful, beautiful Duchess of Wordplay. So give it up for Niyha! I know, long time no see. We both up here with water because we're dying of thirst. Man. So how'd you like it? That was hot, right?
I appreciated that. I was rooting for that. It's not.
It was very beautiful. And whenever I've gone to see people do it, I've not seen women who look like her, and that's what made me feel like that was like really special. There you go. So, how are you?
I'm good, you know.
It's Friday night. It's Friday night. Now, I'm glad you're good. And we don't talk. We did all the time, and it was just chit chat.
Right.
There is one thing that I really wanted to talk to you about. And as a poet, I'm in the company of a lot of poets. And the thing for me that stands out about you is, yes, your delivery, but your humility and your honesty. And so because of that, I want to know when you started writing and why.
Well, honestly, I've been writing since I can remember. I think maybe starting with the why would be easier for me. I think I've always been really, really quiet. My mom says I was a quiet baby. I didn't cry a lot. I was just shy. You know, my nickname, if you go back to Kansas, my nickname is actually Sneak. Not because, you know, I wasn't deviant at all. I was just, you know, they always find me behind something, or, you know, they just didn't know where I was. I just wasn't talking. You know, my mom says, you know, I could read before I could talk, but I don't think that's actually the case. I think I probably just wasn't talking, you know. And so writing for me was just really a way to get that out, you know. I just wrote all the time. It's just all I ever remember doing. And I think that's where maybe some of the humility comes from, or just, you know, because it's not about, you know, so much the showmanship or, you know, what the audience is necessarily going to think. It's about, you know, me needing to get that out. It's about, you know, that's how I'm talking. Actually, I have a poem I might do. It's called, you know, This Is How I Am. Because on a regular basis, you know, I am pretty soft-spoken, and this is my pretty regular tone of voice. And it's just how I get it out. That's my thing.
I always wonder if you've ever been angry or mad, or because I mean, this is really who you are, and it comes out in your work. But it's so fly, and the way you put things together, I think is what's so unique about it. When you started writing, was it because there was circumstances surrounding it? Because I know for me, like when I started writing, my stuff was like, I hate you, I want you to die. I mean, it was just like, I was getting that art out, and I didn't realize what I was doing. You know, it was self-therapy, but it ultimately became, for me, poetry and books and whatever it was I was working on. Like English class, I couldn't get to quick enough because words was like flowing out of me. So was it the same thing for you, or was it because of circumstances?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it was circumstances. I think as a writer, it's kind of any circumstance you find yourself in.
Yeah.
It's like the old right, you know, like, oh man, my favorite pencil just broke. Oh, the agony. You know, I need to write a poem about that. You know, it's just, you know, writing is what you do. It's not so much that, you know, I'm writing because of what happened.
Trying to get used to these chairs.
Right, it's a little different.
It is, but go ahead.
But yeah, not necessarily because of the circumstance. I think as a writer, you find yourself saying, you know, writing is the circumstance. You know, no matter what's going on, we're going to be writing about it. You know, even if it is something just mundane and ordinary, we'll find a way to make it powerful and hopefully move somebody or even yourself.
So, when you were growing up in Kansas, and okay, so you have your own unique style, and it works for you. What did people say when you just started transforming into who you now are? I mean, did you experience any backlash? How was that for you?
Me being who I am. Are we talking about
I'm talking
gayness?
about everything. I'm talking about when you was just like, hello world, here I am. You know what I'm saying? We all get to that point where we grow into who we are becoming.
Right.
And so, but my understanding when I talked to you was you just started with your own style. And then there was this transition. And then it was the I'm coming out, I'm gay.
I see what you mean. I think, and that's part of what I was telling you, I think a lot of things that people naturally associate with maybe lesbianism or someone that you might look at and, maybe compare to people that you know before, really for me, they don't have anything to do with that. Like I say, I have a really short haircut, like a lot of lesbians do, but my mother also has a really short haircut. And the thing about that is, she's not very good at doing hair. And so in turn, I'm not very good at doing hair. And so I cut it off because it's easier, I do tend to, wear more masculine clothes. My only sibling is an older brother. And I just always grew up wearing his clothes. Even there was definitely times when I dated men. And I was never much of a dress, skirt, high heel type of girl. That just wasn't me. So I think things came in turn, of course, hey, if I get this fade, if I dress up a little bit, hey, girls like that. But it's not at all like, I think people make assumptions, like she wants to be a man or she wants to fill these certain shoes. That's not at all my goal. I mean, no disrespect to anybody who does, is a transgender person or anything like that. That's just not my thing, I think people are just real quick to judge and make assumptions off of what they first see. And I think that's definitely one of my gifts. It's just, making somebody change their mind, just based on what's coming out of my mouth rather than based on what you see.
I think you are probably, I don't know what assumptions you're right, people probably do make those assumptions, but once I got to know you, I felt like you were one of the most gentle souls I have ever, and I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but the humility and the gentleness of it's just a trip, and I'm like, you're a Gemini? That word, it's crazy because I expect a whole different personality, but maybe a Cancer, because the melanis, but I was very shocked to find that out.
Well, I kind of pride myself, in defying people's expectations. In a lot of situations, whether it's at school or at work, people don't expect. I'm not sure what people expect, to be honest. Nobody's ever just come right out to me and said, this is what I expected from you, but they always say, you weren't at all what I expected. And I guess I take it as a compliment, I hear it so much.
Well, speaking of expecting, you're about to be a mama. How soon?
I am. Oh, and we're due on March 30th, so
that's what's
coming up very soon.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. I have a little girl, Rylan.
Are you nervous?
Hell yeah. I mean, it's a good nervous, it's a good stress. It's a positive thing, but, I can say, we have a closet full of diapers and we just had a great baby shower. We got everything we need, but, we can't say we're ready. I don't think we're that naive to say, yes.
I don't know if anybody's ever ready.
Exactly.
I just have no idea if there's been a person that's just like, I'm ready, this is a good time, this is the perfect everything. But have you experienced with that situation any backlash because of your relationship?
Honestly, I haven't at all. I expected to. I did. All my life I expected to. I think when you introduced into a world, I think that's a problem a lot of people have even just coming out to the world. What are people going to think? Or general want to see me happy. You know, the people that are closest to me love me. And it's done in such a way that I feel like if I were to receive any backlash or any negativity, it would be so like irrelevant to me. You know, I'm so surrounded by love, and I'm so thankful for that. You know, that I'm surrounded by so much support and people that do have my back that I don't have to worry about everybody's negativity. To me, that's really, you know, the foolishness in it. That's really all I can say about that.
Well, you one of those people, you so chill. I imagine you would just beat the hell out of somebody just because you got all that anger just reserved. But it's like,
I mean, there's potential for that. Because people, like I said, luckily I just haven't experienced that. Yeah. But I know it exists, and I can, you know, I'm ready.
the other side of the Gemini, it's like, we only see one side is sweet, but we have never seen the other side of the Gemini. I just love it.
Well, nobody, you know, it takes a lot. It takes a whole lot to get me to my other side, you know, because we do all have two sides, you know. I don't know, but I know you know. Because, you know, I've heard that about Geminis, and it's true, you know. One day you might wake up and look in the mirror and see somebody else. It's true. That's very true. But it takes a whole lot to bring out that side of me, and I don't experience that. I don't know if it's just the way, you know, I try to conduct myself on a regular basis, just in a fair way, you know. But I don't put that kind of energy out there, and I think that's why I don't get that.
Well, and what's interesting is I was telling I think when we were talking, I said, you know, I feel like when I said I'm not a Christian, I was coming out of the closet. That was like the biggest, I can't even describe the moment of saying that. It's like it changed relationships in my world and everything by saying that. And so I don't say that to diminish the real importance of coming out, but I can now relate, you know, to becoming something that everybody thought you should be, you know, those closest to you. So yeah, I can relate in that way. One of the things that I wanted to share was that not only are you a person who could read before you spoke, you also have books. So tell me what it's like to be an artist. You're on your grind, you're doing your thing, and so now you put books together to share that art. What is that like for you?
You know, honestly, to me, it was kind of easy. I think when I put my focus on something, or, you know, my intentions are set to do something, in general, the way you describe my character, I think that's just kind of the way I live my life. And I'm just always kind of that turtle that wins the race, you know. So it's like you look up and it's like, oh, Niyha's still working at Wendy's, huh? You know, or whatever it is, you know. But then it's like you look up, it's like you got a book out, or you got 2 books out, and you know, and it's just like a daily part of life. I mean, it didn't take a lot of effort. It didn't, you know, take a lot. It was just my goal. You know, when I set my goals, I set smaller goals, and then I worked towards them until I accomplished them. And that was definitely one of them. And it just hasn't been. It's very like supplemental for me. And I think that when people hear my poetry and they're touched by it and moved, you know, they maybe have a different perception of me. That, you know, I am a poet, I am an author, you know. And it's more of a fan to an author type of thing, where I kind of look at it like, oh, you know, thanks. It's just kind of like my side thing, which really helps me out. You know, I think it's a mutual kind of therapy between me and the audience, and I just show appreciation through my books. You know, like if you're kind enough to purchase one, you know, you want to hear what I have to say, then I'm glad, you know, I'm gonna give that to you.
I think that's the key to your art, is because people can relate to you. So it's the humility, it's the honesty, and people can relate. And so I think that's what I love about it. And did you bring books tonight?
Yeah, I have a few. I have.
And what's the name of your books?
One is called Pocket Full of Poems, and the other is Beautiful Skin.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, I want you to share so these people can hear what you do and enjoy what you do, and really get to know. I mean, it's one thing to get to know a person through their art, but now they know a little bit of your soul. So I think you should show them why your name is the Duchess of Wordplay.
I don't call myself that. That's what people call me.
No, we call her that.
Yeah, they call
We call her, she never called herself that. We just named her, because she's too humble to name herself. So we just, poets, they'll change her name. But not this one. She was just like, okay, so that's how you're introducing me. All right then.
That's hindsight that name.
Yep, hindsight did it. And he'll actually we'll have him on here with a group of, I got a plan for April. So, but I want y'all to hear her art and please support local art. She got books and things. Yeah. And how much are the books? $9. Only $9. Y'all at that time, y'all gonna say only $9. Say it with your chest. All right, well, I want you to share, share this side of you with the audience. And a lot of these people have never heard it before, so I'm happy about that. So, y'all, give it up for the Duchess of Wordplay.
All right. That was real different for me. That was the part I was the most nervous about, so I'm glad that's over. Alright, so I'm gonna do a couple poems for y'all, like she said. And I guess this first one I do is I usually do it when people talk a lot about the Duchess of Wordplay, because I think this is the one that kind of got me that title, because it's hindsight's favorite poem of mine. And it's called Her Heart is Dyslexic. Her heart is dyslexic, and it saw his love, so she ended up putting him on rather than telling him no. And the script was so flipped that when the game had first begun, and she said they could do it now, he thought that he won. Because these days in this era, we don't know who we are. It looks the same either way, like the word race car. Don't know if what we saw really was. Don't know the laws and the rules. And she got a learning disability, so lonely, can't tell loco from fool. Because her heart is dyslexic, and she wouldn't trade this for shit. Taking care of him, she would work for tips while he spit at other chicks like clockwork. She'd still emit her time. And if loving him was wrong, she did commit the crime. Because her heart is dyslexic, and soon he stole the yeses from her eyes. So much pressure, he made her feel evil because she's alive. And since her heart, it works backwards based on this learning disorder, well, rather than birthing her babies, it seems she would abort them and push them back inside, confuse them, and then contort them and turn them to different dreams. Like tangled words, she tries to sort them, but her heart is dyslexic, and it's all his love, so she ended up putting him on rather than telling him no. Because every man she ever loved left, so she leaves every man. And she don't understand nobody because nobody understands. And they keep telling her try to love, and our heart's holding a pen. And it's trying to write now, but it keeps on writing then. And I don't know how much longer I can watch my best friend with yeses confusing her eyes to hide the pain that she's in. Because her heart is dyslexic, and she can't tell blessings from curses. And causes and cures go hand in hand, just like chicks in their purses. And something in her chest can't differentiate between pleasure and pain, y'all. She got a retarded heart. Ain't nothing wrong with her brain. But her heart is dyslexic, and it's all his love, so she ended up putting him on rather than telling him no.
Yeah.
Woo! I gotta forgive me, I've been battling with things like bronchitis. And the wrong little information. Alright, so I'm going to try to do a few like transparent pieces, because that's what Karen and I were talking about a lot yesterday, just because this is how I kind of get it out, so I want y'all to feel like you know me a little better once I'm done up here. So this piece I actually wrote way before Sheena and I were expecting our daughter, and it was just about me wanting a baby. And I mean, you could break it down to all the different dynamics, about being lesbian and wanting a baby, but I think this poem is, honestly, it's more about abortion. It's about me feeling like a lot of my friends and family members were just taking life for granted. But this poem is called Mistake Like That. And I'm really sorry if anybody's offended, but I don't watch my mouth. Like, people that invite me to their shows just,
It's all right. For you, girl.
I fully understand that I could just go fuck a man, but it ain't that easy for me. Plus, I'm white for the chick who despises the dick and all she believes it to be. But at least 5 of my friends and family members have recently had abortions. To me, it's crazy. Spending 13 G's on a tube for one don't sound too dumb. Shit, I just want a baby. I want a baby I can promote from big boy to little man to my pride, with my pride in my people and maybe my eyes. I wouldn't mind a little girl, I just can't do her hair. But I'm upwardly mobile, I can afford the daycare. I want a baby I can teach how to game and play fair. I know the world is only getting worse and I do get scared, but I got a lot to pass on. I got a legacy to leave, and the thought of a heavy belly weighs steadily to me. And sometimes I want to show a man just once that I don't hate him just because I won't date him. In fact, I often love him enough to want to recreate him. And we can debate a lot of things, but my womanhood ain't gonna stop. And hormones gonna do what they do, just like biological clocks that keep ticking in my ear like a ghost eternal moans that keep rattling the marrow in my most maternal bones. And this piece ain't really about my political views, it's just that the truth is, I do get a little bitter about luxuries like busted rubbers and gooses. Because while women are out there using murder like it's birth control, I'm watching heavy commercials crying like it hurt my soul. I'm planning, I'm foster parenting puppies, I am onesies in Walmart. I swear I don't want a teenager, but where does it all start? One day I'ma pop up, knocked up, and before y'all get over that whole part, some little spoiled nappy head will take over my whole heart and stash it in muddy jars, rip pockets, and tiny blankets that grow too small to cover a man's toes, so he'll leave it alone and break it. And I'll have to learn to let him go and learn his lessons, and after a while, I'll curse my irresistible self for giving him that damn smile. And he or she will make me proud, and I'll scream loud at school events. I'll try to make up for my childhood, probably love them too intense. I'll try to undo the absence of men like my mother did for my father. And I might never be perfect, but I will always be bothered. So I'm sending prayers through poems, hoping God may write back in the form of a miracle, and I could make a mistake like that. Woo! So, I'm trying to think, what other poem will let you get to know me?
You know which one I want you to
You need to do this as
do. So if,
I don't know.
why does you got?
Oh, that one. Oh, I'm going to do that one.
Let's see.
I'll probably do that one last. I think, I was talking about This Is How I Am earlier, so I'll do that one. And I was going to, I don't know, I'm going to just do it, because I already talked about it. This is how I am. This is how I am. But quiet as it's kept, I got a story to tell. And just in case for me, you haven't heard it yourself, I'm packing the deadly pen and you can murder yourself. Woo! Call me what you want, but God loves me. My haters, I love you. Hell, we all gonna die later. I hope to see you where I'm going. Think I don't know what he's giving me? You couldn't look into my eyes and I recognize that he lives in me too. Maybe he made me who I am just so I could meet you and force your judgment down your throat. Yeah, this is how I am. And I shave it in my head, have it tattooed on myself. And I hustle up double like I'm two by myself. I ain't gonna spend my life struggling because you wouldn't help. And yes, this is how I am. This is how I am. It seemed like soon as one get out, another homie in jail. I keep a written correspondence, yo, my niggas can spell. So why it seem like all my brilliant brothers end up in cells? Then it feel like all the females going with them as well, taking their children on their visits, imprints visions of hell. And yes, this is how I am. This is how I scream and shout. This is all these things and I need to get it out. This is for 3 pounds and 5 ounces. I was born in a glass box. They said I would die, but I'm on. They said that I would be retarded, maybe couldn't speak or walk, and little did they know that I would read before I talked. And though I speak soft, my mind state rests between the norm and the best. Still got love for my X-Men like Wolverine and Storm and Gambit. Damn if I ain't got a story to tell, and yes, this is how I am. This is how I am. Because my biological father didn't bother to pull his pants up, so it seems that I take And just in case for me you haven't heard it yourself, I'm packing a deadly pen. I can murder myself. Call me what you want, but God loves me. Hi, haters. I love you. Hell, we all gonna die later. Hope to see you where I'm going. Think I don't know what he's giving me? You couldn't look into my eyes and not recognize that he lives in me, too.
Yeah.
Let me get some of this good old high quality H2O. So this last piece I'm gonna do is probably my newest piece, which is still a long time ago. I ain't been writing. So if y'all want to like write down the title and drop it in a hat or something and pass it to me, might be my next poem because it needs some inspiration. But this poem is called I'd Rather Be Alone. And I think it's probably like one of the most transparent pieces I've written. And maybe one of the, just kind of, I guess, bold for me, if that's the way to put it. I mean, if you got anything from, I don't like to describe myself, but like I guess some of the way that, you heard Karen talk about me, it's just, it takes, this poem took a lot for me, so every time I read it, it's very cathartic, but like the hear me go. I may have never said this, so you probably never heard it, but this is where I'm most comfortable, and I'm still a little nervous. And I love it here the most, so it's a little awkward to say, but a part of me kind of wishes you all would just go away. I'd rather be alone. Exciting myself by writing love letters between you and I that rather than let you read, I would probably choose to die. Because I want to know just as bad as you do exactly who am I and why. I spend so much of my time trying to perfect a metaphor for suicide, but I don't think there is one. I don't think you can even hear the fear from which those thoughts stem, and I don't think I can explain it. So although I do believe I can make you love me for the moment, I don't think I can maintain it. I fear that I'm too much of an open book and you can just look at me and read me just as much as I fear that you can't. And I know that you don't need me. So I feel like my needs are foreign to you just like yours are to my mind. And we don't ever seem to mean the same things and never at the same time. Before now, I never understood why people said that they were scared to fall in love as though they slipped accidentally and unprepared. But now I know what fear means. I guess I had to find out. Since spoken word is not a physical place, you can't just climb out. I fear the inescapability. I fear all my own capability. It seems to be made too much of dreams, and I was born with the innate ability to sleep perpetually uneasily and day walk in fears that whatever you see in me doesn't really exist in. This open book is a fiction, so I don't want you reading me, especially not at bedtime. I'm not that kind of story. All y'all see is the glory and headline and poetry shows, but it would be ridiculous to think that self-hate wasn't what makes these rhymes so fucking meticulous. I'm not confident. Acting like I'm all hip-hop and shit, but spend too much time thinking while drinking. Lip-syncing my way through life like Milli Vanilli, steady blaming it on the rain when friends be like, girl, you know it's true, you put yourself through too much pain and you don't tell nobody where it hurts. But I guess it's just that I would rather be alone like I used to be, laid out on blankets, feeling my teenage angst from just being in situations with people I wouldn't care if I never see again. When my mother broke her back just for me to betray that trusted me again, and becoming an adult looking back on a person I don't ever want to be again. I don't really know where this poem is going, but I do know that I'd rather be alone than air my dirty laundry. I fold depression and bipolarism to avoid stigma and the fact that I think you think I can just get over it. And it's like a clause for my pain when I'm here spitting poems because I'm already a little socially awkward, which I guess you could say is comparable to this very moment because I'm still very nervous and this is where I'm most comfortable. So I'll be feeling like if y'all want my life and the mic, y'all can have it and all the bullshit that comes with status, dude. You get up here and pour out your heart for everybody's lack of gratitude. I feel like y'all frown on me, say you down with the burdens I carry, but every election I gotta wait for your vote to see if I can get married. And every time I still pain, it hurts it. It makes me afraid of your religion and your churches. I'd rather walk to heaven alone, free from your death wishes and your curses. Because you fear your God so much, I'm afraid to blaspheme him. I fear so many things that I'm afraid to have meaning. Because they say we're all made in God's image, but I don't know if that's true. Because if we're supposed to act like our God, why does your God act like you? So to be honest, I fear hell much less than I fear just to tell you that. I really believe the worst fate is the spell you cast. Because if y'all just want to hear the words I wrote down on the page, but ain't got shit to say to me when I get down off the stage, but I still get on that list, even when I feel lost. this being in my comfort zone kind of comes with the cost. But I love it here the most, so it's a little awkward to say. A part of me kind of wishes you all would just go away.
Give it up one more time for Niyha, the Duchess of Wordplay.